Everyone you have ever loved will die. Everyone you have ever met, everyone who is alive right now on this planet, including you. And nobody, not a single philosopher, scientist, priest, or king in the entire history of human civilization has been able to tell you with certainty what happens next. Until now, the science may finally have something to say. In 1979, a young graduate student at MIT sat down in the Artificial Intelligence Laboratory and began asking a question that would consume the next 4 decades of his life. His name was Donald Hoffman, and the question was deceptively simple. When you look at the colour red, where does the redness come from? Not which wavelength of light produces it, not which neurons process it, but the actual felt experience of redness, that vivid, immediate, undeniable sensation. Where does that come from? No one has ever answered that question, not fully, not scientifically. And Hoffman believes that gap between physical process and conscious experience is not a detail waiting to be filled in. It is a central mystery of existence.
Most of my colleagues believe that when we understand the brain well enough, when we map every neuron, every connection, every firing pattern, the mystery of consciousness will simply dissolve. It will turn out to be just neurons doing what neurons do. I think that is the single most consequential mistake in the history of science.
That claim is not coming from a philosopher, not from a mystic, from a cognitive scientist at one of the world's leading research universities. And it leads somewhere most scientists refuse to go. A theory about death, about consciousness, about reality itself. That changes everything. Here is what neuroscience actually knows about how you experience the world. Right now, billions of photons are hitting the retina at the back of your eye. They trigger electrical signals in your photoreceptor cells. Those signals travel down your optic nerve, a cable of over 1 million neural fibers, and arrive at your visual cortex as raw, fragmented, meaningless electrical noise.
Darwin's theory of evolution tells us something that most people, even most biologists, have missed. It tells us that our sensory systems were shaped by natural selection to keep us alive long enough to reproduce. That is all, not to show us truth, not to show us reality as it is, just to keep us alive. In those two things, surviving and seeing truth, turn out to be in direct mathematical conflict, as Stroud's, or what you see when you open your eyes is not the world. It is your brain's best guess about what you need to see in order to survive. It is an interface, like the icons on a desktop computer. They do not show you the actual code, the actual voltages, the actual physics running beneath. They show you just enough to act correctly. Whatever reality actually is, it is utterly unlike anything you or I have ever perceived.
And this is not philosophy. This is the mathematical conclusion of evolutionary biology applied rigorously to the question of perception. But it raises a question that cuts far deeper than biology. If the world you see is a construction, then what are you? The standard scientific view is this. You are your brain. The 100 billion neurons firing in your skull are producing everything. Your thoughts, your memories, your sense of self, your experience of being alive. When the brain stops, you stop. When the neurons go dark, the experience ends. Death is simply the brain switching off. It is a clean theory, it is testable, and almost every neuroscientist alive today accepts some version of it. Hoffman thinks it is wrong, and he has a specific, rigorous, scientific reason why.
Here's my challenge to every neuroscientist who believes the brain produces consciousness. I ask them one question: give me the specific pattern of neural activity that must be the taste of mint, not activity in the taste processing regions generally, the exact, reproducible, scientifically precise pattern. This configuration of neurons firing must produce this specific experience, always, without exception. Nobody can do it, not because neuroscience is young, but because the gap between a physical pattern and a subjective experience is not an empirical gap. It is a logical one. You cannot derive felt experience from physical description. The two are categorically different things.
This is known in philosophy and neuroscience as the hard problem of consciousness. And it is not a soft obstacle, it is a wall. A logical wall that no amount of brain scanning, no amount of neural mapping has come close to touching. But here is where Hoffman's theory takes a turn that changes everything. If the brain cannot explain consciousness, what if the direction of causation is reversed? What if consciousness does not come from the brain, but the brain comes from consciousness?
Space-time itself, the entire physical world, cannot be the fundamental layer of reality. Our best physics tells us this explicitly. Einstein's relativity and quantum mechanics are both extraordinarily accurate, and they are fundamentally incompatible. When you push the mathematics to the smallest possible scale, space-time dissolves. It stops making mathematical sense. The physical world is not the bottom, there is something beneath it, and my mathematical work over 40 years suggests that what is beneath it is consciousness.
The brain, in this framework, is not the generator of your experience. It is a structure that consciousness creates inside the interface of space-time to represent to itself how it is constructing this particular version of reality. You did not come from the brain came from you. So if consciousness is not produced by the brain, if it is the fundamental thing, the thing that generates physical reality as an interface, then a question follows that is even more disorienting. How many consciousnesses are there? This is not mysticism dressed in scientific language. Hoffman has a formal mathematical model, conscious agent network theory, in which individual conscious agents are not separate, isolated entities, but interconnected expressions of a single deeper field.
My mathematical framework and every major spiritual tradition in human history converges on the same answer. 1. There is one consciousness experiencing itself through an infinite number of perspectives. You and I are not two separate consciousnesses having a conversation. We are the same awareness, looking at itself through two different interfaces, two different headsets, the same one thing.
And when he derived Einstein's laws of space-time from this theory of consciousness, when the equations of relativity emerged mathematically from descriptions of conscious agents outside of space-time, something became clear. Space-time is what the one consciousness looks like from inside one particular kind of headset. It is not the thing itself. It is the view from inside.
Think about dreaming. Every night, without any external input, your consciousness constructs an entire reality, people, spaces, physics, cause and effect, a world so convincing that while you're inside it, you are completely certain it is real. And you do it with no brain activity driving it. The construction is coming from somewhere else entirely, from consciousness itself. Waking life and dreaming life are both constructed realities. The difference is not that one is real and one is not. The difference is which level of consciousness is doing the constructing.
Which brings us to death. In the standard materialist view, death is simple. The brain stops. The neurons go dark. The electrical activity ceases, and with it, everything. No experience, no awareness, no you. Just matter returning to matter. But in Hoffman's framework, this conclusion does not follow. Because you were never your brain, the brain was an icon, a construction, a representation that consciousness created inside the space-time interface to describe to itself how it was generating this particular experience. When the brain stops, the icon disappears. But the consciousness that created the icon, that is a different question entirely.
The closest analogy I can give is the headset. When you're inside a virtual reality game and the headset is removed, the game ends. The world inside the headset disappears completely, but the person who is wearing it, you are still there. You were always there. The headset was never you. Death, in this framework, is removing the headset, the space-time interface. Sir, this particular four-dimensional experience of reality ends. But the consciousness that was wearing it does not end. It cannot end. It was never inside the headset to begin with. I think what we call death is what happens when one particular perspective ends, one particular way of experiencing this infinite reality. The mosquito headset, the human headset, the Donald Hoffman headset, each one is tried on, lived in completely, believed in entirely, and then set aside, and the consciousness that was wearing it moves on. What I am certain of, as certain as the mathematics allows me to be, is that what you are is not a fragile biological object that gets approximately 80 years and then disappears. What you are is something that space-time cannot contain, and therefore something that space-time cannot end.
In 2021, Donald Hoffman's heart went into a catastrophic arrhythmia, 190 beats per minute, for 30 hours. He sent his wife a goodbye message. He believed it was over. He survived. He had 2 heart surgeries. And when asked what that experience did to his beliefs about death, his answer was honest in a way that most people in his position would not be.
I was terrified, completely. Intellectually, I believe everything I have just told you. I believe it mathematically. I believe the consciousness that I am is not going to end when this body stops. And when my heart was failing, I was absolutely terrified. Because knowing something and feeling it are not the same thing, my nervous system has spent 66 years being told that this body is all I am. That wiring does not dissolve because of a mathematical proof. That is the work. That is the practice. Learning to actually feel what you intellectually know.
He meditates for 3 to 4 hours every day, not for relaxation, but to practice, moment by moment, the releasing of identification with an avatar that he knows mathematically is not him. There is a category of human experience that Hoffman's framework makes newly significant. Near-death experiences reported consistently across cultures, across centuries, across people with no prior religious belief or expectation. The tunnel, the light, the life review, the overwhelming sense of love and peace, the experience of watching one's own resuscitation from above, and, perhaps most striking, the absolute certainty reported by people who had no such certainty before, that consciousness continues.
I do not dismiss these accounts, not at all. What I find striking is that they are structurally consistent with what my mathematics suggests. If consciousness exists outside of space-time, if the brain is an interface, not the generator, then when that interface begins to fail, when the headset starts to come off, it is entirely plausible that what the person experiences is the view from outside the headset, a glimpse of a reality that the headset normally filters out completely. The consistent report of expanded awareness, of love without condition, of recognition that what you are is far larger than what you thought you were. That is exactly what my framework would predict.
Cardiologists who have worked with hundreds of resuscitated patients describe an informal but persistent conviction built from years of watching people come back from clinical death that something is happening that current neuroscience cannot account for. Hoffman does not claim this as proof. He is a scientist. He calls for systematic study, but he does not look away from the data. And the data in his framework is no longer anomalous. It is exactly what you would expect. None of this makes grief less real. None of it makes loss less painful. The people we love who are no longer here, their absence is felt in a way that no theory touches. But Hoffman's framework does shift something. It shifts the question from whether anything continues to what exactly was here to begin with.
You are not a fragile biological accident that got lucky enough to have a few decades of awareness before the lights go out. You are the consciousness that is generating this entire experience. You know, the people, the memories, the love, the loss, all of it. You are the thing that is wearing this particular headset and calling it a life. And when the headset comes off, that thing, whatever it is, does not stop. It was never the kind of thing that could stop.
Donald Hoffman has a question he asks himself now. After 2 heart surgeries, after 3 cardiac arrests in 1 week, after years of sitting in silence trying to close the gap between what he knows mathematically and what he actually feels, he asks, can I let go of the attachments now? Or will they only leave when I have no choice? He says he does not have the answer yet. He's still working on it. Which might be the most human thing anyone has ever said about dying.